Good morning. As District Attorney, I'm here standing with Attorney General Steve Marshall and Dan Talfiero with the Attorney General's Office. And we're here today because we wanted to bring you an update on the previously announced settlement with Terminix in the termite litigation settlement of the lawsuit that has been announced. In November, we met with you and we brought you the lawsuit announcement that we had settled the lawsuit with Terminix. In 2019, as you recall, consumers began calling my office because they had been receiving substantial increases in their contract prices with Terminix for their termite bonds that they had on their houses here in Mobile County. And it was at that time that I brought these concerns of these substantial increases in their termite bonds. I brought these concerns to our Attorney General because I felt like that there was something that was wrong in these very, very, very substantial increases in the amount of termite bonds that were being charged to consumers in Mobile County. It was at that time that the Attorney General agreed to take on this task to determine what was going on with these substantial increases. And Steve Marshall did that for the consumers in Mobile County, and we became aware that not only was this a violation of the Deceptive Fair Trade Practices Act, he tackled this for us, for the consumers in Mobile County, and we were pleased to announce a settlement in November of last year. As a result of that settlement, a receiver has been approved and appointed, and that receiver has now his office has instituted a website. We have received numerous calls to our office since November, and we are now pleased that we are going to announce today the process for filing claims, the process for getting in touch with that receiver and filing claims on that receiver's website. And I'm going to turn it over now to the Attorney General so that he can discuss how that receiver was appointed and what consumers need to do in Mobile County to file claims so that they can file a claim against Terminix and that they can be made whole again for the damages and they can receive substantial payments as a result of the damages that they have incurred as a result of the increase in charges that they incurred as a result of these deceptive trade practices. Trade practices that Terminix has committed against them, and this fraud that Terminix has committed against them. Attorney General.
Thank you, Ashley. Good morning. For many months, the Alabama Attorney General's Office has worked closely alongside the Mobile County District Attorney's Office to ensure that justice has been afforded to tens of thousands of Alabama consumers, particularly those here in Baldwin and Mobile counties, who are victimized by the pest control company's alleged illegal business practices for the last few years. It was said earlier, but I want to completely recognize District Attorney Ashley Rich, who was the first to receive these complaints, forwarded those to our office, and asked that we act. And it is a result of Ashley's proactive steps that this $60 million settlement that we announced was able to be accomplished. As you recall, back in November, we announced the terms generally of the settlement of this case, and we initiated action in the Circuit Court of Montgomery County to begin allowing for Terminix customers to receive those monies in which they're due under this settlement. Terminix actions violated several provisions of the Alabama Deceptive Trade Practices Act, a law designed to protect consumers from deceptive, fraudulent, unconscionable, and illegal acts committed by businesses against Alabama consumers. Today, we are pleased to announce that current and former Alabama Terminix customers who suffered from the company's alleged illegal actions now may file claims for restitution. As part of the state of Alabama's consumer settlement with Terminix, the court-appointed receiver is now in place to receive claims to act for both former and current Terminix customers. Under the settlement, the court-appointed receiver will administer an uncapped $25 million consumer fund to pay claims against Terminix. Terminix may add to this fund as needed to address additional consumer complaints. Claims may be filed anywhere from within the state of Alabama for repairs, inspections, treatment, termite damage, or excess premiums charged by Terminix. First, let me talk about those consumers who will not have to file a direct claim with the receiver. It's important to note that many are going to receive payments without ever actually filing a complaint. All present Terminix customers who were overcharged for pest control services in 2019 and 2020 will be issued refunds for the overcharges without having to file a claim. The receiver expects to be mailing those refund checks to be received by consumers by May of 2021. There are, however, customers who will need to file complaints. First, all former Terminix customers who closed their contracts with the pest control company due to unfair pricing will need to file a complaint to receive either a one-time $650 payment or a payment for the difference between the old Terminix contract and the new contract with a different pest control company, or finally, refunds for any excessive payments made in 2019 and 2020. Under the settlement also, all current Terminix customers in Baldwin and Mobile counties will receive a retreatment and termite inspection. Terminix will cover the cost of these services, which are estimated to be approximately $10 million. Many of these retreatments have already taken place since we announced this settlement in November, and there is no need to contact the receiver to receive these services. Further, all current Terminix customers in Baldwin and Mobile counties will have their termite protection service reinstated to their 2018 rate if they so desire. So how do we file a complaint? As Ashley mentioned earlier, there is now a website that has been established by the receiver at terminixfund.com where consumers can access forms which can either be completed online or downloaded, printed, and mailed to the receiver for processing. The receiver also now has a dedicated telephone number in which they can call. That number is 786-347-2564. I will note that as a result of this settlement, Terminix agreed to adopt reasonable and affordable price increase schedule to prevent it from overcharging customers with unconscionable and exorbitant rates like we saw take place previously. I also want to personally thank Ashley Rich again for what she has done in her office's role in helping us to be able to facilitate this settlement. The Terminix investigation was conducted by the Alabama Attorney General's Consumer Interest Division, working in conjunction with the Alabama Department of Agriculture and Industries. Today with me is Dan Telfrano with the Alabama Attorney General's Office of Consumer Division. This time, I'm going to open the floor to any questions about the settlement or the process for filing those claims.
Yeah, Mr. Attorney General, in terms of the former customers that have to file this claim, do they have to present any kind of evidence or proof that they were overcharged or that the Terminix didn't comply with the contract, or is it just a matter of showing they were a customer in that time?
Dan, you want to talk specifically about the process? And this is Dan Toller.
What will happen with people who are former customers, they'll need to let the receiver know what they've paid this new termite termite protection service, so that he can then adjust and come to a calculation of what were you paying previously to Terminix, what are you paying now, and you have a choice. If you had to pay, say, $1,000 extra over what you had to pay with Terminix in the past, then you could get that $1,000 back. If it was less, say for example, if your new pest control company only charged you $900 and your old Terminix contract was $300, that's a difference of $600. You could opt for the $650 difference, or excuse me, the $650 one-time payment rather than the $600 difference. But you will need to contact the receiver. It's all self-explanatory on his website, and he does need some documentation that you did go with a new company.
Does the settlement, does it release the company if you discover that you later had hidden damages later on that you don't realize that you have now?
No, Attorney General Marshall made it very clear that we were supposed to make it certain that you didn't in any way waive any private rights of action. So you still have rights of action against Terminix. Now there will be a legal issue if you were to take funds from this settlement fund and then go to try to seek additional funds for the same damage. There could be some legal issues, that's up to the courts. But we specifically put in the settlement that, excuse me, there will be no bar to a private cause of action should you wish to sue.
Does the $60 million, is that limited, or what if there are more than $60 million in repairs around the Gulf Coast?
Terminix cooperated with us. They got new leadership, they got a new president, and they agreed to our demand that Mr. Marshall insisted on, that you pay the damages no matter what they equal. So however far up it goes, that's what they'll pay. They anticipate that it won't cost any more than that, and that's what they funded it with.
The spokesperson for Terminix yesterday was taking issue with some of the characterizations that they admitted their wrongdoing, that they weren't doing anything illegal, but were they doing illegal practices in the state? Were they committing fraud? Were they committing price gouging? Could you address that?
Yeah, obviously, this was a resolved case without needing to go to court. I think those pleadings are all now out on record with the Montgomery County Circuit Court. Obviously, our claims are under the Alabama Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which specifically speaks to unconscionable and fraudulent actions on behalf of businesses. Terminix can characterize however they will their actions in this case. The result, however, of this settlement is the fact that Alabama consumers will be made whole, and we have an opportunity throughout the state of Alabama, not just here in Mobile and in Baldwin counties, but throughout the state of Alabama to allow for consumers to have recovery.
How many consumers are impacted, do you think?
Well, we think right now there could be close to 30,000 customers throughout the state itself. Now, not everybody is eligible to all of the same benefits of the settlement, particularly the retreatment option is limited to Mobile, Baldwin, and in Monroe County, I believe. Yeah, so that specific portion of the settlement, which is valued at roughly $10 million, is geographically limited. The rest of it, however, is not. And so we think that there are potentially almost 30,000 people that could be impacted by this settlement.
So in terms of what happens automatically, current Terminix customers who stayed with the company but paid that big rate increase, they will automatically get the refunded difference. It's only if you switch companies that you might have to go to the receiver and show the difference that you paid to get that.
So that's correct.
Okay.
Yes,
And then the retreatments happen automatically also.
they will. And in fact, some of those have already taken place.
And then if you left the company and want to come back, then you'll be guaranteed to be locked in at this lower rate, for at least for some time. How long does that go
The
on?
new pricing schedule with that, you want to speak to that?
If you left the company, if you left Terminix and you want your old contract at the 2018 rate reinstated, you have that absolute right to have that reinstated. And if you paid those extremely high rates in 2019 and 2020, you'll get refunded for that in addition to your reinstatement.
Does the settlement allow for pain and suffering?
I'm sorry?
Does the state settlement allow for pain and suffering?
Well, no, generally no, but the receiver will listen to all claims and make a determination. If you had some kind of extreme case where you had to move out of your house and live in a hotel and there was an enormous amount of damage to your house, the receiver will consider compensatory damages for that.
I think they're generally isolated to the economic damages that are either automatically applied or otherwise proven.
And that would be done in, if the company challenged that, it would be like an administrative law judge that would make a determination on that, or
Well,
would it
again,
require
those
a
are
lawsuit?
extremely rare cases, and most of those people end up getting attorneys and pursuing it privately. But the receiver does have the authority to settle any claim statewide if you want to use the receiver. If you want to get your own lawyer and use him, you can do that. But the fund is set up to allow you to take advantage of this receiver and all the money he has to satisfy claims so that consumers won't have to go out and hire lawyers.
So it would be maybe a faster process.
Yeah.
When can consumers expect to receive checks for refunds?
As the Attorney General said, we expect that they'll be mailed out by May. Sometime in May would be the latest. They've got to get together a list of thousands and thousands of people. What were their old charges? What were their new charges? What's their address? Have they moved? There's a lot of logistics involved in that from Terminix to get that to them. And that'll take some time. So we're hoping and expect that they'll be out by May.
And then also for Mobile and Baldwin counties and part of Monroe, again, the retreatment option will be taking place long before the checks themselves are issued. So part of the benefit of this settlement is actually already been given to some or will be coming in the coming weeks and months.
It's the largest consumer settlement in state history outside multi-state.
By far.
Yeah.
By far.
Is there any concerns about missing anybody that perhaps has received damages? And if somebody's out there, do they have a deadline which they need to act in this process?
Well, that's the reason for the website and for this press conference. The Attorney General's wanted to get the word out to everyone so they know that. Every single person that contacted our office, and there were hundreds of them, the first thing Attorney General Marshall insisted on, I want those people made whole, and we've been in direct contact with them by writing them too. People have complained to District Attorney Rich, and we've been in direct contact with them as well. So we've had a lot of contact directly, but we're hoping that you in the media will get this word out. We certainly have it on our website, and if everyone gets it, then hopefully they'll take advantage.
And in terms of the deadline,
2 years.
2 years.
The fund is for 2 years.
And how many people have you heard from since November? I mean, we heard from a lot of folks. I'm just curious.
One of the reasons why it was so important for us to have this press conference as soon we got the website up and running on Friday, and today is Monday, and we wanted to have this press conference is because our phone rings off the hook daily asking about what do I do about the Terminix? How do I get in touch with someone? Who do I get in touch with? And then we were forwarding those to the Attorney General, and then they were writing letters. And so we wanted to get this information out as soon as possible for that very reason, because we want the public to know what to do, and you are helping us educate the public, as well as we are going to have posters. We have these here. We're going to have posters all over the courthouse. We're going to have it on our website, and we're going to continue to try and educate the public on how this process works so that we can get the word out. But it is 2 years, and we will continue, to help educate the public about what to do in this process.
I think one of the reasons why you've seen since November to where we are now, a couple things just mechanically had to happen. Number one, we had to file the pleading itself in the circuit court in Montgomery. The circuit court had to act then to be able to appoint the receiver that was requested. And then at that point, the receiver had to do their work to be able to stand up the website with the appropriate information for consumers to be able to do that. And so we're pleased where we are right now. Now the next phase of this settlement can begin. And again, very grateful for Ash's leadership in getting us to this point, as well as Dan's work in accomplishing what I think is not only, as we identified earlier, the largest consumer settlement in the history of our state, but also one in which Alabama consumers are directly reimbursed for what we've identified are their damages, and so we're grateful for that.
Anything else?
Yes, I want to thank you, Ms. Rich, and you, Mr. Marshall, and the other gentlemen for taking care of citizens in the state of Alabama.
Thank you.
Because they're killing me. Go from $400 to $1,350, and you have 6 houses with Terminix. That's not funny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get yourself on TerminixFund.com.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all for coming. Thank you.